Hello again. So I've been thinking of starting to do my testimony over again just so it's a little more clear. Um, but I am probably going to try to do it in sections just so I don't get overwhelmed and the person watching also doesn't get overwhelmed because I don't know about you, but when I see that a video is over 10 minutes long, it's a commitment. And yeah, I just don't really like long videos. I don't like making them, and I also don't like watching them when they're really long a lot of times. Because I don't know about you, but I have a lot of things to do in my life. Anyways, yeah. So this one I think is going to be kind of like a prequel, just kind of how I went from kind of like a churchgoer to like a Jesus follower, I guess is what I'm gonna call it. Sorry, I don't know why my camera's so weird today. I think it's like the light is kind of funky or something. I have a candle today. It's kind of, you can see, I don't think that's helping. Oh well. Um, anyhow, so I grew up in the church. My parents were Christians. And I grew up going to church, and I knew about God and Jesus, and I wasn't like opposing anything. And I thought that meant that I was a Christian, I was a Jesus follower, I was saved because I went to church, and I didn't do like the big ticket items, like murdering someone or like having sex before marriage. I didn't drink, I didn't do drugs, so I thought I was good. Um, and I didn't like bow down to any like golden statues or anything because that was my concept of idolatry back then. And I thought that that meant that I was a Christian, and yeah, that was not so. Now, there's flies everywhere still. I the Lord gave me quite a few like experiences as I've discussed in that playlist before I decided to completely submit to the Lord. Um, and it took a while. It really did take a while. And I did read my Bible twice before I became a Jesus follower. It just wasn't, it didn't like sink in. Like I was blinded. I couldn't see like what I needed to do. And I, for some reason, couldn't see what I was doing as sin. I knew that I was like bad and like I did things that were wrong, but I was just saw them as like sins against other people or like, oh, I'm a bad person. Um, which I guess is true in a way because only God is good. But that's kind of the way I saw things, and I just let the shame kind of, like just grow inside of me for every mistake I made, and I would still try to do like a lot of like good things to try to counteract it, or I saw my goodness and worth from like how other people saw me. That was kind of how I measured it, because that's why things look so good from the outside for me, because I was a rule follower, so I would follow like all the church rules that I knew, and then like a lot of the people rules. So things looked really good. I looked like a good person, or I could have been a follower of Jesus, but really I was just relying on myself for my own goodness and not Jesus, because only He is righteous. Um, and basically, I kind of fell away from the faith when I was in college. I was like volunteering at church, but I didn't actually like attend the services or like listen. I had a lot of questions and bitterness in my heart, and I also served in nursery and things like that. Not to give myself a pat on the back or anything, but just to like give you an example of like what I was doing to like feel like I was a good person, um, even within the church. And then after graduating and getting married and things like that, we moved and we tried to go to like a few churches, but none of them really stuck. I just didn't have that commitment to the Lord there. I was very, I guess, prideful. Now that I look back, I thought that I didn't need to be a part of a church community. I could follow Jesus all on my own. And there was no accountability there. And basically, it was just like me, like reading my Bible maybe like once a month, like not even, maybe like listening to part of like a like sermon here or there, or like reading a Bible verse here or there, praying here or there. There was really no consistency or anything like that, or heart to it, because there wasn't a relationship. I hadn't given my heart to Jesus, so like we had like, I guess like, yeah, like these like experiences with each other. So like, but like it wasn't like a relationship yet, because it wasn't like a consistent like meeting. If I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but it was more like acquaintanceship. So I knew like who he was, but like we didn't have like a deep relationship, and I hadn't given my sins to him. So I definitely didn't love him because I wasn't doing what he commanded, and I didn't know the heart of the Father because I wasn't doing what he commanded. And I'll go over more later, like the different sins that I was into, and how Jesus has, in my life, has turned that around, and how the grace of God has helped me to turn that around. And it wasn't till after we had our daughter and the Lord kind of used a job, not being able to hire me back after, because it was a small company, to kind of take me out of the world and out of my own plans, because my plan was to like build a career and like make a lot of money, be super like successful in a worldly sort of way. And that's not necessarily wrong per se, but for me it was wrong because of my heart behind it. So it's not wrong to like be successful or to have a career as a woman. I don't believe that. But for me it was because I was making it my God. I was making it my source of goodness and my goal and purpose for life. And let me tell you, it was a very empty one. I felt very purposeless and like, okay, so I do this and then what? Like, what's the point? I'm just gonna die someday anyways, just to, yeah. I was very dopamine hit heavy too. I drank a lot of caffeine, ate a lot of sugar, was super into like going like out to eat and like making good food and things like that. Not that any of those things are wrong, but just the place I was like putting them in my heart. It was like what I was seeking for more than anything else was those things rather than the Lord. And then, yeah, I think it was at the beginning of 2024, that New Year. I never make New Year's resolutions. I've never done that before, to my knowledge. And so I decided to make a New Year's resolution. And after watching this one YouTuber's that I really respected, them making a New Year's resolution, I decided to try to do that as well. A lot of the things were super like worldly, like get better looking, like get a cool hobby, or like get a job, I think was on there. Maybe it wasn't. Just like be more fit and like, yeah, things like that. I don't exactly remember what was on there. But then I had this desire, this little creeping desire, because I saw something in Christians that like actual believers that like I think I wanted, and I was like, God, I want to get closer to God. So I put that on my New Year's resolution. And the next step was to like put down steps you were going to take to accomplish your goal. So I put like read my Bible, I think I don't remember what I put on there, but I think it was like read my Bible like every day, and like find a church, and what else? Like pray more. And it started out pretty rough, like, and it was really hard, but I kept doing that. And then one day when I was outside walking, oh my goodness, I need to turn this off. Okay, there we go. Okay, family group chats. They're pretty crazy. Anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, so one day I was walking with my daughter in the stroller because at this point she can't walk. I think she was like, I don't know, like 6 months old or something like that, maybe even younger. And I remember just thinking, like I don't want the Lord. I remember thinking like there's so many things I put before the Lord, and that made my heart really sad. The Holy Spirit made me kind of sad, and was convicting me that something was wrong there. I'm like, wow, Jesus did all this for me, and I would choose like a cupcake over him. Like literally, that's where I was at. I would choose a cup of coffee over him, and just stupid worldly things. And that really hit me. I was like, wow, something's wrong. And at that moment, I realized I don't love Jesus if I would choose these things over him and over following him and what he has commanded us to do. And then I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to get there. But I remember asking God, God, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't want you right now. But I want you. Can you help me to love you? And it was just that simple prayer in my mind. And I kept doing what I was doing and trying to get to know the Lord and just following my curiosity about the end times. In my study, probably not the best thing to start with, but it was somewhere. And yeah, so I was researching that, and I can't remember how much longer, but the one day I had watched some very scary videos. I'm not sure if they were necessarily true or not. I kind of got into some of like the end times prophet things. That kind of scared me. It really scared me, and I still have a little bit of fear surrounding those things. But the deeper I get in a relationship with Jesus, the less fear I have. And I'm not sure if all of them were like true or false or whatnot, and that's not really the point. But it really scared me, and it scared me into realizing, I guess, that I was in the wrong, and I kept like denying it in my mind. And then the one day my daughter was napping, and I was praying in my room, and I just had this really crazy, like, kind of like weird experience. I don't know if it was like a vision of some sort, but it felt like something was like happening like in my spirit that wasn't like happening to my physical body, and it was absolutely terrifying. It was like this blackness, like the deepest, darkest blackness you've ever felt, and I was falling, and as I was falling through this blackness, I realized I was falling away from the Lord. And I remember like a whole bunch of like my sins being revealed to me, because at this point I thought I was pretty good. I didn't realize I was sinning against God. I thought I was good with God. I'm not a murderer. I don't do these things that other people do. And God showed me that I was just as sinful, and he revealed to me all my sins, like gluttony and like just pride and not telling other people about Jesus, even though like I had been in church my whole life. And like, what else was there? Just so many like just all the ways that I was living under the name of Christian, and I was not like representing his name well. I was living like the world, and I was calling myself a Christian, and I just was completely obsessed with myself, fitness, running, and like trying to look like a supermodel, and yeah, just all those things. I can get into more of those things later, but he showed me I was sinful in every way. I put like so many things like before Jesus, like you name it, something in the world popped up, like a new like drink at Starbucks or something, and oh, that was my new purpose in life, was to try to go and try that. It's so ridiculous, and like it's so shameful for me to say that that's like the way I was living, but it was, and that was kind of like all I cared about. And at that moment, I realized that I couldn't save myself. Like I was done. Like I was guilty, and if Jesus came back that day, I wasn't going to be taken with him. If like the rapture happened again, I don't really know. I don't I don't really know a whole lot about the rapture or what side I stand on or like what's gonna happen or anything like that. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, like, that's God's plan. But I realized at that moment, like, if the rapture happened today, I wasn't gonna be going. I knew I was not living for Jesus. I was not living in a way that was pleasing to him. I was like completely putting my hand up to him. I did not love him. And in that moment, I knew I needed forgiveness. And I knew I couldn't fix it myself. No good work could fix it. And in that moment, I called out on the name of Jesus to save me. And I gave him everything. I said, Jesus, like, I'm going to live my life for you now. Because I knew at that moment that my life was over. I was dead because of my sin. And in him, at that moment, he gave me new life. And I believe that's a moment when I became a true Christian and Jesus follower. Sorry, I can't believe. Crying, man. Words cannot describe how dead I felt. I knew I wasn't going to make it, and I didn't deserve it. I really didn't deserve it. I had done so many things against his name, yet he saved me. And yeah, I guess one other thing I forgot to mention during this whole journey is part of the reason why I started trying to follow Jesus after my daughter was born was because I wanted to grow up Christian and I wanted her to be saved by Christ. And so I started like looking into ways to like be a better mom and like teach her about Jesus and what was the best way, because I didn't know what to tell her. And that was kind of when I realized that I didn't really know or understand the gospel. I just knew like a lot of facts about the Bible and about Jesus, but I didn't understand it. It wasn't until that moment that I like had a basic understanding. And even now, like, I'm still learning about God's grace every day. Like, it's just so great. Not that it's like should be like a cover up for evil or to continue in sin, but it was funny in a way because I was looking for my daughter. Cause I'm like, I'm good, I'm Christian. I was so like, looking back, my attitude was pretty prideful about it. It was like God kind of answered me back and was kind of like, oh yeah, well what about you? Like you need to be saved first. Anyways, I think that's all I'm gonna include in this video. It's way longer than I expected it to be, but yeah, in another video I'll do like more about what happened afterwards and more of the details, of how Jesus saved me after that. And yeah, all right. God bless, and I will see you in another video.